Okay.
We're fucking live anyway.
Oh,
So,
cool.
welcome to the effing live. This is effing Sober Heathen and effing Lindsay. And we're
Beautiful.
minutes late. Oh, 10 minutes late starting because we couldn't decide on a topic. So, we wanted to talk misconceptions. We wanted to talk, misconceptions of recovery. We wanted to talk, what was the other thing? See, I forgot now too. And I'm over here.
Hold on 1 second.
Dramatic pause for effect.
No, sorry, it's echoing, so I'm just going to fix it.
Hey, what's happening over there, Alston? Hey, Alston. Misconceptions and triggers were two of the things that we're talking about before we came on here.
I fixed it.
Okay.
It was echoing. It was weird.
Right on.
Yeah, it creeps me out. Hi, Arvin. Yeah, so whatever he said, I concur.
That's right. So yeah, my PayPal will be at the end of this thing, and Lindsay's going to send me $1,000 since she concurs, and that's exactly what I said prior to going on live.
But yeah, so we want to talk about basics too. I don't know if you said that. And what's going on with you guys? Anything on your mind, sobriety wise? Any challenges in your recovery this week? Any successes? Victories?
Yeah, all those things are good, and some to come up with ideas for recovery podcasts sometimes can be a challenge because it sounds like it's the same thing over and over again. But you never know who's listening, and you never know when something else is at the forefront of somebody else's mind. So I know for me, I always like to choose something that's right in my face, and then that's when I can really dive deep into it. And sometimes that's then when somebody else finds something they need. So
yeah, and I wanted to also talk about motivation every day, to push forward. And
so what's your motivation then daily, Lindsay?
Well, honestly, since I thought of that earlier, I'm trying to think like what all is there to it and how did I get this motivation? Because you guys, I used to wake up at noon. I didn't go to any appointments on time. I was such a different person. TJ. And now I wake up early in the morning and I'm so pumped for the day. And I remember my energy started coming back though when I had maybe like 30, 60 days sober. It's where my natural energy, I started getting a little pep in my step, you know what I mean? Oh my gosh, hey Catherine. Miss you. And so now it's like it's been a process though, and now what keeps me going is I really believe there's endless possibilities every day, and it's up to me to grab it, right? So I just try to keep in this mindset, and helping other people kind of really energizes me. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I'm motivated daily, but by a lot of the same physical reasons. I sleep better. It's not. I really don't get nearly as pissed at the alarm as I used to, because waking up in the morning, like normies that never had an addiction to alcohol or other drugs, that wake up and we didn't really. I didn't wake up. I came to most mornings to the sound of the alarm, and talk about being rough. You know what I mean? I lost a couple jobs for sleeping. Well, yeah, pretty much. From sleeping, I would go in, I'd clock in, make my presence known, and then off I would go to sleep somewhere in my truck, and pass the time. So yeah, it's absolutely a motivating factor to not feel like shit. And once I started this recovery journey, every time I put a little farther stretch in, the worse those hangovers were, because you had some time to realize what life was like without that shit. So I mean, physical is a big one. Mental's a big one. I'm I'm also able to do a podcast and talk about things, and have had some great guests on that I would have been able to do as a drunken idiot. So opportunities are a motivating factor. You know.
Yeah. Yeah, hearing other people's stories, as cliche as that sounds, it really does empower me. When I heard Dr. Dallas on your show, what day was it? It was Friday, maybe Friday
Yeah.
morning. Man, I was like, I watched the whole thing and I was like, this guy, like, he inspired me. A lot of the stuff he was saying too. It was pretty cool. So that's the stuff that gets me pumped up. And now I'm gonna have him come on my YouTube this upcoming Friday. So it's just stuff like that that like keeps me going and keeps me motivated. And you know, like I truly have this faith. This is kind of my second and third step. If you ask me, this is what I say when people ask me about faith. My faith is that if I stay sober, don't purposefully hurt people, and I try to stay on the straight and narrow and do the right thing, as good as I can, and just be authentic and genuine and a good person, then things are going to be okay. I really believe that. I really believe if I stay sober and do the right thing, everything will be okay. But the second I pick up, I proved to myself through history that every time I picked up a substance, no matter what it was, this is a long expedition or research, as they say, right?
Yeah.
Of trying to find the perfect combination of substances, of alcohol, or just pills, or just this, or just that. And I bet many of you can relate to just trying to find what you could maintain every day. Like, what's the perfect cocktail of drugs or alcohol so that I can live my life, and it never worked. And something would always happen. So things like that it was always me trying to get on top of something and figure it out. Things that I couldn't control, and it comes back to that circle of control in the serenity prayer. But that was not anything I was thinking about then. I didn't even know what that was, right? Plus it wouldn't have mattered if I'm under the influence. So yeah, not to go in the weeds, but that just reminded me of that. And
No, it made me think of something too while you're talking about that, and it's kind of in the
what
weeds, I guess. But
yeah,
I was talking about this with Miley on the way home today. It's like what some people don't understand, and what's hard for the people on the outside of addiction to understand, is they remember everything that they were involved with you and your substance use. So like the drunken tirades, if you do that, being found passed out, they were there for that. We weren't present for those things.
mm,
I don't remember most of the stuff after it got really, really bad in 2019 and on, when the wheels really started to fall off, and then really bad in 2020. I don't remember hardly any of it. So it's really hard for me to take accountability for it. And it's hard to, we expect people to change in a certain way in a certain time frame, but they lived it more than I did.
yeah,
And so, that's something to keep in mind too when you're trying to find, you know, your motivation. You got to keep that in mind that there's a lot more work for us to do, because half the crap that we're trying to make up from, I remember only the good. I remember, when it was really bad, I remember slamming that pint and that feeling that I got instantaneously, like, I mean, within seconds. And then it's black after that, because I didn't stop. I didn't wait for that to kick in and then ride that buzz. I was down and more as the buzz was coming on, and then it's all gone. So yeah.
so true. Yeah, so well, and I have a lot of clients that ask me like, when are my parents going to start to trust me? When is my partner going to stop questioning me? And the answer is there is no answer.
Mm-hmm.
And that I was fairly irritated about it when I was going through it, and then now on the other side of it, as I'm sober longer, I see like, oh my god, I really like didn't understand just the depth of damage I did, right? And so I was blacked out most of the time, but I also was in there a little bit, right? Like I would come to like in jail a few times and like just the next day and like something bad, there's blood everywhere, they're fighting, just all sorts of stuff. And I had so much shame about that. And that has been one of the most difficult things for me to work through and process in sobriety. I mean, I would say the largest hurdle, but because I was in denial about a lot of stuff too,
Mhm.
you know? And I think shame is something that fuels us negatively, of course. It fuels our addiction. It goes right in there with resentment, I think, too. Resentment goes right in there with that too, So
Yeah.
getting rid of the shame was huge.
In the treatment that I went to twice, they taught us that guilt is I did bad and shame is I am bad. So
Yeah.
if you put it in that perspective, and you are not bad. You may have done some bad things, but I mean, maybe there's people out there that were addicts and they're just straight up fucking assholes no matter what they do. I guess that's possible, but
Yeah.
the overwhelming majority of people that I come in contact with at work and on X, these are good people that made bad choices that have, an addiction.
Right. Exactly. Well, and I'm glad you brought that up because this brings us back to the constant that we've been discussing lately is the identity part, right? Of how do I identify? I am bad. I am a piece of shit. I am this, I am that. And that becomes who we are.
Mhm.
We say it to ourselves enough times and we with enough intensity, we believe because it becomes true. I like what Catherine said about sitting in feelings. That was another thing. I'd say I've come across that the most this year in my sobriety. Um, and for somehow I've just been sidestepping it all these years somehow for the most part, right? Compartmentalizing. And I want to I don't want to be I don't want to suppress feelings. I'm sober because I want to feel the full range of emotions.
Mhm.
And you can't really suppress them anyways. We can try. And I can compartmentalize all I want. But learning to just sit in the feeling and sit through the storm, as they say, like that was really, really hard. It still is really hard, but that's something that I'm really trying to master.
Yeah. So my great grandmother who raised me, she's in the hospital right now.
Yeah.
Um, a little less than a week ago, she was found on the floor. She'd fallen, and she had a big lump on her head, and all these things going on. And I'm responsible for all the decision making. I don't know if I said she's 99 or not, but she's 99. I should probably throw that in there if I didn't say that. And so all the decision making is falling on me. And when you have a urinary tract infection on top, that's what part of the problem was. That's not good for young people sometimes, but for older people, it really messes with their mind. So I visited her today, and her cognition is a lot better than what it was. But um, seeing her like that and her begging me to take her home and trying to explain to her while she's out of it that she can't go home yet because it's not safe and all these things. Um, I really I had to face it. There was no running. There's no running. There's nobody else. My family is what it is. It's her and I against the world. It always has been. And she was there, in her 90s, taking care of a drunk piece of shit. I'm not a piece of shit, but I was acting like one sometimes. This drunk guy, and so the least I can do is be there for her during this. So today, I went in and I talked to her. It was a really short visit, and my feelings leaving that was I didn't sit there and sit with her long enough. I should have stayed longer. I should have stayed longer. I could not because we had such a great conversation, and then the repeating started, which is normal for 99. But I haven't slept hardly at all this week. I'm physically and mentally a wreck trying to, with worry and wanting to get things done as quick as possible, not living in acceptance that things are going to happen how they need to happen. But I got all this stuff going on. I had to say hello, goodbye, give her a big hug, big kiss on the forehead, and say, okay, I will call you later, or I'll talk to you tomorrow, Grandma. I love you. And I had to get out of there. And then I cried on the way down the elevator. But you got to deal with it. You can't. Before I would run. Quite frankly, you take 2 years ago me, and I would have been drunk going in there, and I would have sat with her for hours.
Yeah.
But I also would have been going in the bathroom drinking every 15 minutes or less. So yeah, you can't run from these things for sure. Sit in those feelings and have it. So
what did you do to push through that? Because I know I could answer that because I know one thing you did.
well, I mean, I let it out in the elevator for one, and then Miley was in the car. She has some sinus stuff going on, so just in case she just waited in the car today, and I kind of told her about it. I didn't tell her about the crying, but if she's listening to this now she knows. But it's I had to say, you know what, you're doing everything that you can, dude, and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And she's completely safe. A week ago she was at her house right now all by herself, and now she has a bunch of, as she says, they are so good to me, Scotty. These young girls are so good to me, so she's safe, and I know she wants to go home. And you know what I did, and I'm trying not to make this all about me, but
no,
there was this big, she had this folder thing or whatever, and I wrote her in big letters a note reminding her what's going on. We got to wait till Monday to talk to the insurance people. Then, you're going to go to rehab for a few days to work on your legs and mobility. And then once that's all done, you can get to go home. And then love you in big letters. And she said she read it several times since I saw her yesterday. But that's helping her keep, remembering what's going on. And I'm doing everything that I can. And I wouldn't have given myself that opportunity. I wouldn't have been, well, first of all, I wouldn't have been able to do this if I was drunk. But before, I would have been beating the hell out of myself, like, oh, you selfish piece of shit. You were there for like 15 minutes and then you left. No, it's self-care. She's fine. She knows I love her with all my heart, and she's going to be fine. So I had to do that for myself, because me being in there crying or being a wreck or doing whatever would have happened, me staying longer, that would have been good for either one of us.
That's pretty beautiful, dude. Well, you reached out too and just stated how you were feeling to us, in our chat. And so that was cool. That's what I do. I have to get it out wherever, like I have to name what I'm feeling, and you were feeling it right then. And so.
Yeah, did I say something about drinking when it first happened?
No, you said that. No, that was last week. You had said something about her house, though. But I don't think.
Yeah, she wasn't doing well, and I was going to go stay at her house, but it was like a dead zone. But I wanted to point that out because I feel that it's necessary to say those things when you feel it. Like, you got to have somebody that you can call up and say, dude, I want to fucking drink right now. Somebody that knows what you went through. Like Miley, I can go to Miley and go to you guys, and I can say, I want to fucking drink right now.
Yeah.
I know it's not going to do anything. I don't give a fuck. I want to drink. And then we talk it out, right? So to have those urges and to ignore them and to not address them, and that was something that we were talking about before, is I don't believe. Well, okay. I know for me, that's not okay.
No. Well, I totally agree. And I feel like I'm keeping a secret. I just messaged you guys something. I was like, I just got to get this out, because if I feel like I'm keeping a secret, even though it's like nothing, right? Just something silly I did, like a old behavior, nothing, to do, nothing picking up or anything like that. But I'm working on other behaviors now, right? And so I'm like, just have to say it. I have to get it out, because if I start keeping things in, it's like, am I trying to look a certain way? Is that my ego? I gotta be open with this shit, because if I keep it in, like, nobody's gonna know I'm struggling. I told you before about how the clients that I have, a lot of times they do what I did, where everything was good, but they reached out when they're struggling, and those are the ones that make it, the ones that go through the emotions and let themselves cry and feel it. And that's taught me a lot, It's
I
awful.
just had something hit me in the face,
What?
and it was
What?
because of what I can't remember his first name ever. Alston, what's Alston's?
Oh, Arvin.
Arvin. Okay,
Arvin.
so Arvin said one thing. I'll put it up here for anybody that's watching.
Yes, but I
I'll
can't
put it up
read
the
it.
thing. One thing that's constant struggle for me is how quickly emotions can overwhelm me. I'm okay to let the tears flow. Yeah, so let the tears flow, but the emotions overwhelming you. Okay, so there's a saying that I disagree with, and if you've listened to this before, you'll know that I disagree with it. I don't believe that alcohol is doing push-ups in the parking lot. I don't believe it's doing push-ups in the grocery store shelf. I don't believe that. But what can be doing push-ups if we don't address it and take care of it are our emotions.
Ooh.
Those fuckers will get stronger and stronger and stronger the more that you don't address it and you don't sit in them for a minute. Just let it happen. Just, okay, why am I feeling this? Just like the podcast I had the other day with Dr. Dallas.
Yeah.
Get in those things, understand it, talk to somebody if you have to. If it's a danger zone, obviously that's when you call somebody. But your emotions are going to sit back there when you try to bury them, and they're just going to fester. And they're going to get the stank from that shit is going to get so strong that it's going to rot your insides worse than a night of whiskey, right?
That's literally true science.
Yeah.
Like that's what they say. Like that's how a lot of illnesses come about because I mean, our physical and mental, they're connected. I mean, it's one unit. We're connected. And you ever notice like when you're thinking something and then you get nauseous, like maybe a memory or something?
Yeah.
That's just an example so you can see like you could make yourself feel it when you're doing feeling memories. But so this kind of happened. Remember the podcast I made where I was like literally crying my ass off? I did a couple of them, but that was for me, it was seething out like years of stuffing,
Mhm.
suppressing as good as I can. And I didn't realize that I was doing that. I just thought I was a sociopath or I was very good at it. Turns out I was just constantly using distraction. So it wasn't drugs and alcohol anymore. It was other things when I got sober, like the shopping, this, that, men, um, working. So all those things, and then it's like you can't run away from yourself, and that's why I also say like open wounds, like trauma, and it doesn't have to be a specific significant event to be trauma. There's little t trauma too, where it's also what didn't happen for you. That could be well a schema as what Dallas had even brought up the other day, which I've never talked about really, but yeah, so you don't want to stuff it. um oh, I just saw, you know what I mean, jelly beans. Arvin said when I started my recovery after a few years, I had to go take care of all that crap that started coming up. What did you do? Was it like trauma therapy? I had to get a therapist and start going like really consistently. And I was like, what's wrong with me? And I had to completely change how I viewed feelings and
Mhm.
emotions. Like my whole perspective was that they are weak. And this was like not that long ago that I realized this, you guys. And so I I know though, right? Like I know that it's not weakness, right? And theoretically and with other people, but when it came to myself, I was still telling myself those messages that it's weak, don't be a stupid woman, and all the things that, I'd heard growing up. And it it, it started to make sense to me why I never let feelings come. I mean, obviously, I was drinking and drugging too, so that was like a surefire way to not have feelings, right? Or so I thought. Hey, Mr. Grisby, Clarence, right?
So you said a couple of things there, Lindsay. There's two things I think we could touch on here. Two more misconceptions: misconception of feelings and misconception of therapy. So I want to touch on the feelings thing. Sometimes I've told myself that, dude, you're 42, you can't act like this. Like in a moment of fun or singing a stupid song or clowning around, acting like a child. That's bullshit too, man. You know what I mean? Like there is no set way to act. You're being fake. You know what I mean? Like if you hear a stupid song or, if I start rapping Eminem, hey,
Hey.
or Grigsby, if I want to do that, then I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to. That's silly. Like some of the most like, what is it, like attractive, but not in like the physical. Like I want to do you attractive. Like attractive people that you want to be around.
Yeah.
Like the older ones are the ones that are young at heart. And they're
Yeah.
laughing and they're slapping the table and they're telling a joke. And I'll never forget this one guy I worked with. He was probably closing in on 70, and he talked about peeing in the snow, like writing your name in snow. And he said, at his age, it's more like Morse code because the P is just like.
Oh my God.
And I about fucking died, and that was a joke at work, and it was great. So, I think there, you have to be tough, so you can't show your feelings. Okay, well that one's pretty common.
Yeah.
You have to be an adult. You can't act like that. That's another one that's really common, and I think that's silly.
I hadn't thought of that. That's so true. Yeah. Like you can't. Well, oh my God. I just realized this. I thought that I couldn't really have friends as an adult. Not like I can't friends, but like I can't, like I have to be with my son 24/7 and almost like if you're a mom, that's your deal. And because that's what I was kind of taught, right? That the frivolous things such as men and whatever, no go. It's bad. Friends, men, no. Do something constructive, I would be told. Go do something, go
You
work.
know what's fucking constructive, Lindsay?
What?
Living your life.
You're damn right.
You can
It's
be a good
funny, I
mom and do all
realized
those
that.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, like I had no idea that I believed that because I always felt like I was doing something wrong.
Yep.
And so it's like, no, self-care is good. Like fun
It's a
is
must.
self-care. Like,
It is a must.
yeah, and I can't be it's like working all the time and constantly being just by ourselves or whatever, or just with family. Like that's not good. I need to socialize. I need my network. But so that just damn, I forgot about that. That was a common thing for me. What else did people say on there about common misconceptions? Oh, about having fun. You touched on that a little bit. Thinking, oh, I'm not gonna be able to have fun when I'm sober. Did anybody else believe that? If you got sober, your life was over because you weren't gonna be able to have fun.
I mean, I would be shocked if anybody said, "Oh no,
I
I
know.
never thought that." Yeah.
I know. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say no to.
Well, you were talking about therapy and how good it was for you, or
Yeah.
whatever. I think a misconception of therapy is that they're going to fix you and they have all the answers. Now, they could help fix you, and they might have some answers, but I don't think people realize that therapists are there like a guide.
Yeah.
And all of us, if like, and again, I hate when I just say like all of us, like I'm
No,
talking
you're good.
for people. So I'm going to rephrase that. For me, if I can investigate my thought processes and feelings enough and know that my intent on what I say and do was for the good of myself and others, then that's good enough, right? So, and my brain just went poof.
You're talking about therapy though.
Right.
Before
So,
that.
right. So, when you go into a therapist, they can help guide you to see what your intent is. But at the end of the day, you can blow smoke up somebody's ass and they can know that you're doing that. There's nothing they can do to change it. Right. So when you go to a therapist, they're going to, once they get to know you, they can call you out when they think that you're bluffing. But at the end of the day, you're doing the work, just like you're doing the work in recovery the entire time anyway. It's no one or nothing else doing the work. It is you. So to think that you're going to go to therapy and they're going to fix you, unless you're willing to look in and do 90% of I don't know, maybe that's the wrong percentage. But I know for me that once I stopped relying on these people to tell me what to do, like I would leave therapy and psychiatric session, be like, they didn't fucking tell me a goddamn thing.
What do
feel
I
like,
do,
yeah,
God?
what am I supposed to do? They're supposed to tell me how I'm supposed to make people like me again. They're supposed to
Yeah,
tell me how to make
they know everything.
Miley not so suspicious of me. Well, here's a clue, stupid. Look inside. The reason why Miley's suspicious is because she finds a bottle every other day, you dumbass.
Oh shit. Our mind can play tricks. It's so true though. Something I just thought about when you're saying that is how me and my coworker were talking the other day, and I'm like, what are we doing? Like, kind of just being discouraged about something that was going on, and we're like, damn, man, like our program, we're saying if someone really wants it and they don't really need us that much, they make it because they do all the work. And it's like, duh. And then we're saying how, our program is really, really outpatient. And it's like, and if you don't do the work, you don't get it. I'm like, well, yeah, that's just recovery. Duh. But it was just like that realization that, I mean, I've had over and over again over the years that it isn't I'm not going to get you sober. I'm not going to get you high, and I can't. We were talking about this last night because someone was like saying, tough love, like tell him like, hey, like, don't you want to be sober or something? I don't know. I don't remember what he said. And I was like,
No.
I can't. Nobody changed my mind.
No.
I'd say go fuck yourself.
Well, in that question, like, don't you want to be sober, is just irritating. Like,
Yeah.
do you think people, if they knew that knew how to live a way that they could be happy, free of substances, and not carry that baggage, don't you think they would do that? Like, I don't think there's anybody. The fact that people keep going to it is because they don't know how, or at least that was for me.
I think that's and I told you I was talking to Dr. Snipes, and she actually texted me. She said people struggle with change for like 3 different reasons, and that was the number one, was we simply don't know how to do it. Like I say it all the time. It's not just like we know how to be sober, obviously. Like we have to learn it from someone else. And then when you're learning from everybody that has a different thing, you're like confused, right?
Yeah.
But it's just, you don't know. You can't get sober. Well, you can get sober without anybody's help. I can't lie and say that you can't.
Yeah.
It's actually a high percentage of people.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it called? Remember we were talking spontaneous abstinence or spontaneous?
Yeah. Yeah. And it is, and people can absolutely do it. And then
on their own.
I'm going to leave that one alone right there because I'm going to go down a
yeah,
dark
we're
road.
going to go down a dirty hole.
Yeah, I've got to watch out for those dirty holes because
it's like the dirty void.
It'll be a nasty place. Yeah, there are so many people that substances have ruined their lives, in one or were in the process of ruining their lives, and they said, "I'm done. I'm going to go to the gym instead, or I'm going to change careers instead. I'm going to get a divorce instead," and that was what they needed to get out of the hole of addiction. That's all they needed. And that success is just as spectacular as anybody else's, in my opinion.
Right. And I won't go into another rabbit hole, but I can't judge anybody else's way of sobriety or their addiction, whatever they did.
Not gonna.
No, I mean, why even do that in the first place, But I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, because I was running my yapper.
No, it's just because of my brain.
So anybody, I mean, we're fluctuating pretty on the viewership or whatever, but I wanted to ask people, like, I think it's interesting because we're going to talk about triggers, and we can migrate over there and come back if you want, but just to keep the chatter going, for me, I think my trigger might be, I want to know if I'm all alone on this one, because if I had to pick one thing that triggers me the most is when I know that I'm going to be alone for an entire day or more. A 42-year-old unsupervised. Like that's when my mind's like, okay, you know what? I could drink, and then it would be all out of my system, and then I
Nobody
would
will
be alone,
know.
and nobody will know. And for me, when I think about that, and through my discussions through therapy, and I'm starting a new therapist too, and by the way, so I can't wait to talk about that on here. But anyway, this lack of freedom that I had as a child, that was, I felt trapped, and then as a teenager, I felt trapped. And then even as I got a little bit older, living at home, there was still that trapped feeling,
Yeah.
I always felt trapped. And then I was in a marriage that, I had to give up a lot of things that I wanted to do with my life and things I really enjoyed. I coached baseball and basketball for 13 years in my old high school, and we got pregnant, and that was it. I had to stop, and so felt trapped again. And drinking a fifth every night at the house with my kids after I put them to bed, that was my freedom. So freedom is my biggest trigger, if that makes any sense to anybody.
It makes a lot of sense. I've talked about this a few times on here to where I had that thought. I think Adam said that was his biggest thing too, right? I'm pretty sure he said it like the getting away with it, or nobody will know if I just do it quick. And that's been like the number one thing for my clients too, that they've said over the years, honestly. But something happened, something miraculous happened. No, one day I started realizing that, like, no, I'm gonna know. Because when I had relapsed and come back, I just remembered that feeling and like being so mad at myself. And I'm like, but I'm gonna know. And so then I stopped having those kind of thoughts. But the biggest triggers for me, emotions, rejection, um, feeling not good enough, or
Yeah.
what else? Feeling less than, but that's kind of goes with it.
Yeah. See,
Um,
Arvin, God damn, I'm terrible with names.
yeah,
Is
you
it
said
Arvin?
it. Yeah.
Yeah. So most of the weekend, he says, I'm alone. I haven't gone anywhere. I don't feel triggered though. And see, that makes sense. And like my reply was, yeah, people places don't trigger me. Like walking down the liquor aisle in the store does nothing. Does nothing to me. Um, people piss me off. I don't like, oh, I'm going to go drink over this person. It Now, have I done that? Absolutely. But the top of the list is I'm going to be alone. I am going to have the spiritual experience. I remember all these times drinking and sitting under the stars and bonfires and stuff. And I'm going to do all these things. And that's what it is for me. Happy Earth Day.
It's Earth Day. I feel like it's not, is it? It's winter. Earth Day isn't in winter. I'm just messing with you. Good to see you, sir, joining us. But yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say again. Brain fart. Oh, triggers. Yeah. Oh, shame. How could I forget? Shame.
Oh, okay.
Shame. Okay. Shame, guilt, shame, whatever, all of the above. Yeah, my birthday's tomorrow. I'm old. Oh my God, you guys. I ate some of the cake and it hurt me a little bit. My stomach. Before this podcast, I was struggling. I thought I was gonna die. I'm gonna go eat more after this though. Like,
Oh yeah.
look at
Listen,
how addict I am.
listen to this young lady over here. Okay. Like before we came on here, there's like 17 boxes of chocolates laying around her fucking
Oh
plate.
yeah.
So don't listen to the hype. I
Don't
mean,
listen. I bought ice cream too.
it's a
That's for
self
my kid though.
it's a self-inflicted wound. Okay. So we pity you not here with your
I
chocolate
can't play
consumption.
victim right now.
We pity you not.
Please.
That's all right. You're gonna eat your chocolate, and I'm gonna finish off this bag of dill pickle chips, the party size.
I thought about you today in the grocery store. And that one guy that would come in here and say, what did he call you, big guy? But I was walking through the beer aisle was on the left. I went to a new grocery store today. I'm really stepping out of my comfort zone. I know, another Publix. And so like on the left was the beer aisle and on the right was the chip aisle. And I was like, son of a bitch. Him and his chips.
I love me some chips.
Yeah.
We need ever an AA tonight, 15 minutes before, and I had to stop and ask.
What? Oh, in AIDS and oh yeah, he's in UK. So I think you're like 9 or 10 hours ahead of us.
Oh, okay.
That's late. What are you doing how are you awake right now? Do you sleep? Earth Day, the day you landed here. Oh, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. What else, guys?
Well,
Funky
you know, I'm going to say it again. I'm going to toot my own horn because I think I had a good thought here today in this discussion, but it's all courteous of Lindsay. Alcohol isn't doing push-ups in the parking lot. Your emotions are when you don't deal with them. I'm really going to dwell. I'm going to really dwell on that one tonight because I think that I might write about it in my journal. To be honest with you, because that's how I roll.
That's a good journaling thing. Well, so, but what it? Can you see me thinking?
I could hear it there for a second. I heard some clicks.
I got to think about this now.
Sound like an old school modem dialing up.
What kind of cake?
Yeah.
I got carrot cake and strawberry cheesecake. I posted pictures of them because that's how I roll. I have to let everybody in on it, on my cake escapades. You know?
That's all right. So what you got going on tomorrow, Lindsay?
I don't know. Gonna hang out with my little buddy.
Oh, okay. Hang out with the kiddo?
Yep. I might take him to the game room or something.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Word. I'm going to get up early, do a podcast at 9 or 10. It's 10. 10 tomorrow.
Oh, I want to do the Sunday morning reflection one with you. I forgot about that. You're doing one, though, with who?
Amir?
Or Amari?
Amir. Yeah, I'm terrible with names. That's why I have to ask who's in it. But yeah, so I'm looking forward to doing that. And then tomorrow it'll be kind of wide open. So
wide open,
relaxed day. Yeah, I haven't slept more than 4 hours in a night this week. So maybe a nap will be in my future on Sunday.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Taking away the moments that make up a taking away the moments that make up a dull day. Yeah, you know what, you guys? I was watching Griselda, and that was like intense, but good. And I'm like, holy shit! Like they're like snorting coke like every second, and like there's kilos. And I'm like, if I was in early sobriety, I wouldn't be able to watch this shit.
See, and that never does anything for me. Watching people drink on TV does nothing for me.
Oh, it's just different. The drugs up close.
Yeah, it's weird. It's just crazy how it affects people differently, right? You know,
yeah, and like drinking doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I can go into a bar and have a burger, and because I know that I can't consume enough alcohol in the time that whoever I'm with goes to the bathroom to do anything, I don't give a fuck. Shit. Now I'm swearing. I don't give a crap, because it's pointless, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah. Speaking of, I'll end on this probably. If nobody else has anything. Does anybody else have any comments, questions, or concerns? Me? Any? I told my mom this one time, and I'm just so pleased with myself about this that I have to keep telling it. You guys know me. So I said, Mom, you should I'm always wanting people normies in my life to go drink or whatever. I don't know. It's just because I'm you should do it. I'm living vicariously through you. But I really don't want to do that, right? But I'm just fucking around. So I'm like, hey, you know what? You should hang out at the bar more during the day. And I don't know why I said this. I was like, I would fucking do that. If I could drink, I would be at the bar all day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go, Oh my God, that's my problem. Because
Mhm.
I'd be there all fucking day, you know?
Dude, I don't know why this popped to me. You're talking about being there all day. I brought my Xbox to the bar one time,
No,
the little tiny bar that we watched the game at in my hometown.
that's
I
funny.
remember I was sitting there drinking. I was like, "Can I bring my Xbox in here and hook up to the big screen?" And she's like, "Yeah, I guess whatever." Well, it's like you guys are making millions of dollars off me and so they weren't going to tell me no. So we're sitting there playing Xbox in the bar. What a freaking noodle!
Noodle?
I'm a noodle. I
What's a
was a
good
noodle.
one? Like a macaroni elbow?
Well, thank you for being here, TJ. It's always great to to have people in here that show up
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
frequently. It means a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And especially this morning, that meeting was really cool. Thank you guys. That got my day started out really good. Really,
Yeah.
really, really good.
Yeah, and I don't know how people can contact you, Lindsay, but if you want to come on the podcast, you can reach me at thesoberheathen@yahoo.com. You can DM me on X. You can find me on Facebook, and I don't turn anybody away for the amount of time they've been sober. I mean, I had a guy on there that was just day sober. It ended up being a podcast with another guy that had a little more time, but I'm not in the realm of you have to have X amount of days in order to tell what's going on. I think it's actually refreshing to hear somebody in the thick of it. So if
Hell
you
yeah.
or anybody else, hit me up.
Hell yeah. I'm gonna start making more appointments too for people to come on mine. But um man, yeah, it means the world. And especially like this is what, my birthday, like I just wanna chill. Like I don't want to go run around crazy at the clubs. And like this is like more than enough for me to eat my freaking cakes. Go buy
Yeah,
my own cakes and eat that shit.
and you know what's crazy, guys? Like she's gonna be 56.
I I have good Botox. I have a good doctor.
Oh, I'm just
People did
kidding.
say I looked younger, and I do have
You're
Botox.
you're
I'll be 36. I
Oh, I
am
was gonna
36.
say you're 19. Women are always 19 every birthday. It's like
I
they
seem
want to be
so young.
19. So
I was so dumb when I was, well, last year even. I mean, who am I kidding? I was gonna say in my 20s, but
I believe it. Miley from the other side of the door said she's 29.
I love it.
Yeah,
She is
she's
29.
29 every year.
That's a
Yep.
good idea.
Mhm.
Teletubbies. What the heck? You're getting wild. Thank you for the happy birthday. So thank you for another fun, sober Saturday, sexy. What was it again? That wasn't sexy. Sober, I don't know. Saturday Night Fever.
Fever.
John Travolta,
Yeah.
baby.
Well, this is great as always,
Love you
especially when
guys.
people are in the comments. So thanks, guys. Rock on.
Deuces.